Suicide in our senior community, a conversation no one has had, but we're having it today.
Welcome to Senior Care Made Simple, an elder care podcast, your guide to navigating home health care with confidence. Hosted by Andrea Albertini, founder and CEO of Horizon Care Services, an industry leader in private duty home care in South Florida. To learn more, visit horizoncareservices.com.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Again, introducing my co-host, Doris Muscarella.
Hello.
We also have an amazing guest today. Her name is Barbara.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon and good evening. I'm going to start off for you.
Thank you for following into our lead today, Barbara. Barbara is an incredible retired volunteer guardian for Palm Beach County for many, many years. And we're going to talk about suicide in our senior community.
You know, in my community, I live in a older community. It took me 10 years to have them come forward with programs in mental health. Do you come across the situations in your take?
So while I was doing my volunteer work, I solely focused on adults. A lot of my patients were the elderly. As I didn't deal with suicide within what I was doing, it's a very common aspect of life, especially today. I've seen it a lot in spouses that their significant other spouse is dealing with an incurable illness, and it's taking a toll on our seniors.
But nobody wants to talk about it.
Nobody ever talks about it. You'd be so surprised how little it's talked about. And I know several people that have committed suicide, ages 70 and above. And unless you read about it in the paper, the police went out to a blah, 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 you'll never, ever hear about it. It's an issue that we need to talk about. It needs to be addressed. They need more people to advocate for them, to help them, and they don't. It's not only mental illness. Well, I don't know if you would call dementia a mental illness, but a lot of elderly, they deal with these issues that they don't know how. We have elderly people today. Finances is a big issue. It's a big issue, and they don't want to be burdens.
So, I heard that in 2023, they did a census, and they found that adults age 85 and older have the highest suicide rate in the country. That's mind-boggling.
It's mind-boggling because you never heard about it before.
We don't want to talk about it.
No, they don't.
It's too sad. It's too dramatic. I don't know.
I don't know if it's so. I wouldn't consider it sad. It's just a taboo.
Taboo.
Now, you know what I don't understand? And Barbara, you and I had this conversation yesterday when we were planning for you to come join us today. And one of the things that just boggles my mind, I have been in healthcare for over 40 years of my life. So I work with hospitals, nursing home, cancer centers, and everything. So a person has cancer, and what is the average cost of a round of chemo? $30,000 to $50,000. So that's allocated. So the pharmaceutical company is banking on that, while our community is struggling. And so our seniors, our children become a victim. You can live in an assisted living, which it runs you from $4,000 a month to $12,000 a month, depending where you decide to go. I feel that every single assisted living facility should have a psychologist. To every time someone moves in, they should be evaluated. They should be evaluated on psych.
They do. But unfortunately, it's not the evaluation that's necessary. What they do is they evaluate them. They have like a lead nurse. I don't know actually what the positions are called when they're in there. They have someone come in and they're going to evaluate you on what level you are. What level of care are we going to give you, right? Are we going to give you your meds? Are we going to help you bathe? Mm-hmm. Are you going to live alone? Do you need assistance eating? That's the only thing that they do, okay? So there's not
A psych evaluation.
There's never a psych evaluation because some people go in there. Now there's a dementia ward. There's a ward that they lock up because obviously dementia patients can be a runner. So they're behind a closed door. Then there's an assisted living facility where you live in your own apartment. The only thing these apartments don't have is a stove. They have everything but a stove. And then they have a dining area where you can eat. Okay? One of the biggest issues is medication. They over-medicate. How many of our elderly are on an antidepressant? Oh,
All of them.
All of them.
why?
All of them. Why?
I'm so sad. I'm so depressed. Okay, let's put you on
Medication. Yep.
Let's put you on an antidepressant. That's the first thing they're going to do. Now, if you're in a facility that's state-run and your Social Security or Medicaid is paying for it, they're going to load you up. They're going to, if you have dementia, they're going to put you on an antipsychotic because now they got to level you out. Medication is, I'm sorry to say, but it's the devil as far as I'm concerned. Are there good medications? Absolutely. Are there needed medications? Absolutely. But there's a lot that's not. And I think when we have these issues with the elderly, they over-medicate them. They're sleeping. They're sleeping 75% of their days.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that bothers me is you shouldn't be a primary care physician should not be prescribing psych meds.
Absolutely not.
I'm sorry. I think that, honestly, every assisted living, what you were talking about, what you were talking about is more like a clinical. Basically, they're trying to find the qualification and the levels of care when they're admitting a patient or a resident into a facility, correct? So, but that's what they're doing. They're not evaluating them for psych. They're not evaluating, do you have depression? Tell me a little bit about why you end up here. Are you okay being here? Are you looking forward to make new friends or whatever the case may be? That's not happening.
But you know what's interesting? I go to the doctor all the time. And I've noticed that in their intake form, they have a section now on mental health. You go to your gynecologist and they ask you about your mental health status, yet they're not qualified to give you mental health medications. Have you noticed that too?
I was just at the doctor and the questionnaire, and I turned to the little assistant and I said, you know what? You're asking me all these questions. I don't even want to answer them. And it's not like you could just skip on over it. Now you're taking someone who's 75, 80 years old. They still go to the doctors, many doctors, and they're now addressed with these questions. They're going to, yes, I'm depressed. No, I don't sleep. Right away, someone's going to think, oh my God, there's more of an issue here. There's many reasons why people don't sleep, but right away, let's put them on meds.
And to tell you the truth, their mental health is not talked about as much as it should.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Many, many, many years ago, I worked with a gentleman. He might not have been that much older, but he was older from what we all thought a great life. Committed suicide. There's so many factors of why I personally, and this is just my opinion, money is one of the biggest. Loneliness and sickness. Their family don't bother with them no more.
According to the recent U.S. data, 75-year and older men are the highest rate in suicide in the elderly. Why men? Why do you think that is the case?
I really don't have an answer. I really don't know. I have to really look into it because I really don't know why. You have to remember a lot of these people that are in their 70s and 80s now, the men were the workers, the women stayed home with the families. It could be loss of their drive for life. It could be they lost their spouse and they don't know how to survive in life without their spouse. Family. A lot of elderly people, especially here in South Florida, they're alone.
Yes.
That's another story.
So I was a private banker for over 20 years. And a lot of my clients lived down here and their family was up north. They had caregivers down here and their family was up north. Family didn't bother much with them. It's loneliness. No. A lot is loneliness.
And then you also have mentioned before we went in the air where your father, what happened? Can you share with the listeners what happened?
So my father was diagnosed with dementia, and I believe it was September of 2019, my mom made the difficult decision to put him in an assisted living facility. He was in one that we believed had been a good place. My mother was paying a substantial amount of money for. There was so many things that went wrong in this facility. We pulled him out. We pulled him out March of 24 to a new facility, what we thought was a brand new facility. We thought, hey, this is going to be a great place, yada, yada, yada. We knew the people who ran the activities. They had came from the previous place he was in. And he kept falling. And he was rushed to the hospital multiple times. And he had an emergency button on his neck. They pulled his call button off his neck and left it on the counter in the kitchen because he was pushing it too much. You know, he didn't have Parkinson's, but I think sometimes it's just a panic thing. And then in June of 2004, he must have gotten a little lightheaded and he fell in between the sink and the toilet. And he laid there for 2 hours, screaming.
Oh my God.
Pulling. So he laid there for 2 hours. By the time I was notified, I rushed to Delray, and he had bruises on his face and stuff, and he was so disoriented. And that was, I believe, June 25th. And by July 14th, he had passed. Because as a dementia patient, every fall you have takes multiple years off your life.
Oh, absolutely.
And the facility was negligent. I filed complaints. State came back, did nothing. Place is still active and open.
You know, I understand that not all of us can take care of our loved ones, you know, in our home. And it's so important that you have an advocate.
We were advocates. Me and my mom were there all the time. We were always there. We were always there. That didn't matter. It was the times that we weren't. Now, a lot of places you can't put cameras in. We happened to have been, we fought to have a camera put in. Unfortunately, my mom didn't remember to put the plan on. So it wasn't recorded, because where it actually was, we would have caught everything. And they got away with it. And not only did this happen to my dad, about, I'd say a few months after my dad, there was a murder-suicide there. And I got a call from the state questioning what happened with my dad. And now they reopened all these wounds for me. I wrote letters. I gave them chronologicals of everything that was going on. Came back again. Accusations unfounded. Now, this had nothing to do with money. This was not about money.
Right.
This was about holding them accountable for their negligence.
There are 3 warning signs that I want to talk about, okay? Number 1, there is a suicide crisis lifeline. It's the 988. So have that handy at all times, I recommend, and we could put this on the show notes. Number 2, recognize the warning signs, and we'll list the warning signs. Be aware, communicate, have a WhatsApp. And number 3, reduce access to anything that could be harmful. For example, in my house, I love swords. I love the Renaissance, and I have collected swords. So if I have somebody that's an elderly patient, an elderly person, I would remove my swords. I would put them on eBay and sell them.
Sometimes, unless you are trained as to see the signs, you're going to miss them.
So I recommend that we hire somebody that can be with the person 24/7.
You want 24-hour service. In fact, we did have someone come and stay with my dad towards the end. You want the care. You need the care.
Daytime, you okay because you have a lot more staff, but nighttime. So we have a lot of our clients that has nighttime care, especially for their dementia parents that is in a facility, because sometimes emergency happens mostly at night.
Correct.
Right? Because usually, especially on dementia care, they get their meds to go to sleep and things like that. But, like sometimes not even medication can help a dementia patient sometimes, especially those sundown ones. Those are more difficult, and a lot of them has that. So that would be an alternative, that you call a private duty home health agency that provides hourly and living care to be able to fulfill the gap, to have at least a nighttime person with your loved ones, just in case an emergency happens.
Oh, I agree. It's definitely an asset to have, because you're right. Someone's there, God forbid, of anything, they fall, anything. Because a lot of these facilities, what happens is, I think that the nurses just check out at night. They figured, hey, everyone's sleeping, we're good.
Right. And it's usually a skeleton crew.
Yes.
And sometimes one of the things that bothers me is the facilities doesn't even have nurses at night. They have CNAs.
Yeah, I think in this facility, they might have only had one or two.
Right. So
at
that's
night.
one of the issues. So when we place a senior in an assisted living facility, we actually go through every single question. Do you have a registered nurse at night? Well, how available are they in case of a question that we need to address in reference to a resident? There's so much that's entailed placing someone on an assisted living facility. And that's something we do under Elder Care Finders, which is one of our companies.
We have a checklist that we follow, a protocol that we follow. And if you're interested, please send us an email and we'll be happy to send it to you. A checklist if you need to follow up or anything you need when you're placing somebody in a home health care company.
Please email us at seniorcaremadesimplepodcast@gmail.com. seniorcaremadesimplepodcast@gmail.com. And we'll be happy to get back with you and, and hopefully talk about some of the things that you want us to talk about and we want to be able to share with the community. Barbara, any last thoughts?
I would just say be vigilant, be alert, try to see the signs, and be your family's advocate.
Also, please don't forget, 988 is a suicide and crisis lifeline. They're open 24/7. They're constantly there for you. They also have training, warning signs, reduce access. It is a great resource. 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline.
Thank you, Doris. Thank you, Barbara, for coming to the show today. I know this is such a delicate subject to talk about it. I know, one of us have, unfortunately, people with mental health problems in our family. So we just need to be more aware of what's going on. And I know that sometimes we can be in denial of what's really happening. But thank you so much, everybody. Until next time, have a great day.
Senior Care Made Simple, an elder care podcast, has been brought to you by Horizon Care Services, your private duty choice in home care in South Florida. For more information on acquiring home care assistance, visit horizoncareservices.com.